Famer Eric Dickerson.
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Leinart, 2004 Heisman Trophy winner.
Hey, I'm Zane Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm Matt Barry from ESPN. You're getting ready to watch one of the best college football podcasts ever. It's the Harris Highlight Show.
You're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you listen to the Harris Highlight Show. Enjoy it.
Na 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 na.
Coming to you live from my room in Monrovia, California, this is the remote edition of the Harris Highlight Show. Joining me this week is our college football analyst, Josh Schaefer, our college football expert, Lyle Goldstein, our executive producer, Brady Klein, and I'm your host for the evening, Blake Harris. So I guess Lyle and I aren't in the group. Well, I guess it's not a group chat. It's just two of you guys. We're exchanging texts between Josh and Brady about the dress code for this week's show. So Brady and Josh, since you guys have decided to set something up on your own without talking with Lyle and I, what's the look here? What's the plan?
I've been taught by Coach Ted Lasso and Jose Mourinho that sometimes it's better to just not say anything.
That show is incredible.
Have not seen a single episode.
Dude, it is so good.
All right.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yes.
All right, so I guess Ted Lasso, which I've seen sponsoring a bunch of YouTubers, not a sponsor of the show, unfortunately, but Ted Lasso, if you want to watch the show, go ahead and watch it. We got a lot to get to this episode, guys. It's going to be a jam-packed episode, as all of them are, but truly a lot to get to. We got news to talk about, the games from the past weekend, this upcoming weekend of college football, and again, there's just been a whole lot that has transpired over the past week, so let's just jump right into that immediately. But first things first, make sure to follow the show on Twitter at the @HHShow_. Head over there, give us a follow. You guys can also follow us on Instagram at Harris Highlights Show. They are two different handles, so don't get confused there. At Harris Highlights Show on Instagram, at the @HHShow_ on Twitter. You guys can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The link to that is in the description of this video. You guys can help out the channel and the show by donating to the Super Chat if you have a question, if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss for this episode. Like, if there's a lot that we have to get to, a whole lot, but if there's something you specifically want to hear our opinions on here, us talk about, you guys can donate to the Super Chat. You guys can also become Patreon members for little as $1 a month. You guys can unlock exclusive benefits, some awesome behind-the-scenes stuff in regards to the show. You guys can get a one-on-one Zoom call with the four of us. You guys can be a guest on a future episode of the Harris Highlight Show. You guys can also choose a topic of discussion for a future show. So again, if there's a team you'd like to have us talk about, if there's a game you'd like to have us talk about, if there's a player, anything like that, you guys can choose a topic of discussion for a show. Again, that is as little as $1 a month. I mean, that's literally just chump change. It's really chump change. If you guys go out, if you guys like getting coffee, if you guys like getting some fast food, for $5 a month, not only are you saving yourself from not having to have, a really unhealthy fast food meal, you guys are helping the channel out. You guys are helping the show. And I think that's a win-win, guys. You guys, we're encouraging our viewers to stay healthy, not eat bad food, and help support the show. So again, it's an absolute win-win situation for everyone involved. But guys, I think that's my spiel. I think it's time to officially get to the latest news. Are you guys ready?
I was born ready, Blake.
All right.
First of all, Blake, it's bucket season, so I'm always ready.
It's bucket season. All right, guys. Our biggest takeaways from week 3. So a little later in the show, we're going to be talking about our stars from the past week. So again, that could be, player, team, coaching staff, anything, our biggest stars. But before we get to that, our biggest takeaways from officially, again, who knows what week it is, officially week 3. So guys, again, this could be anything you saw this past week in the college football. I know I have a few takeaways that I jotted down that I shared with you guys earlier that I'll be talking about. You guys can, express anything. Again, players, teams, coaches, anything you noticed and want to talk about from this past week in the college football.
Well, what did I say last week about the Louisville-Miami game? I said that it was two similar teams from week 1, but and they both surrendered kind of similar yards, but Miami's pass defense was not very good against a not very good team. So Malik Cunningham was going to light him up. No, that is not what happened. Shout out Miami. I mean, Malik Cunningham wasn't bad. Louisville's offense got going kind of a little bit, but man, De'Ara King, I know we're going to talk about him later, but that was one of my biggest takeaways from the week was that Louisville, I think they'll turn it around, but Miami came to play. Your mic's off.
Mic's off, isn't it?
First time using this software, Lyle? Second
Second
Got
time.
it.
Mine's short and sweet. It's basically South Florida's really bad, and to just kind of hop off what Josh said, Miami is really, really good, and I'll save all the talk for when we break that game
I mean, I
down.
guess we can actually do it now since that's pretty much, the biggest takeaway, which I thought Josh was going to lean into since why I put this up here. We could talk about that now since that was the most anticipated game coming into the week, and it was probably, I guess, the best game that I think we got this past weekend, so we can stay on the topic of Miami-Louisville.
Okay, well, if we're going to stay on the topic of that game, I mean, it was fun because it was the first ranked matchup we had. Two good offenses, handful of exciting players in the game. Best quarterback battle we've had so far. Look, I had
We haven't had that many.
I know, but it's
I know,
to this
I
point the best one we've had.
Grant Wells,
Well, who did he play?
he played the App State quarterback.
I got that pick right. I picked App State to lose. But anyway, on Miami, look, I had De'Ara King high on my Heisman watch list early in the year when we did our preseason predictions. And I think I had Miami higher in the ACC than anybody else in here. And it's simply because I kept harping it over and over and over. De'Ara King is going to make that much of an impact. And in his first big game, he did just that. I mean, his throws were on point, put up big numbers. I mean, he made the whole offense around him better, and he can move. I mean, De'Ara King's under center. This is the best quarterback Miami's had in a while now. And I think, am I going to sit here and tell you Miami's going to hang with Clemson? No, but I think they're a scary team.
Now, you did say the best quarterback they've had in a while. Now, Tate Martell did opt out after that great performance.
Shocking.
He did.
So, unfortunately,
Well, he's a wide receiver now.
The wide receiver Tate Martell, who I think has 3 years of eligibility left, even including this year, who's going to literally be in college longer than I was. So we'll have to wait and see. I think I'm going to be talking about De'Ara King in regards to our stars of the week later on. But as Lyle said, this was kind of like, the perfect, I guess, comp in regards to De'Ara King, Miami. This is the best quarterback Miami has had in, I don't know how long, at least, the last 10 years, I want to say, going back. I mean, talent-wise, we saw what he did at Houston a few years ago where he was nearly, a Heisman. I don't think he ended up being a Heisman candidate because he missed those last few games. But De'Ara King, he was an absolute stud. And Miami's offense, they looked good. I mean, everything was clicking for them. Now, granted, I don't know after one game how much we can really read into that. Although Louisville was, I guess 2 games, but the first game Miami played didn't really count. So one game against a really, solid opponent. So I'm not going to read too much into it. But again, Miami's offense, Brevin Jordan, I know a lot of people are high on like Pat Freiermuth being, probably the best tight end in the country, but Brevin Jordan, he looked good. I mean, he's obviously De'Ara King's number 1 target. So Miami, their offense looks pretty good. It looks definitely like it could be something that really takes them to the next level. It just really, you hate to see it because Miami's defense, we talked about in the previous weeks, Gregory Rousseau, he's going to be a top 5 pick, probably, maybe even a top 4, top 3 pick in this upcoming NFL draft. We don't get to see him on that defensive line. And Miami's defense, they look good too. I mean, the turnover chain was out like 3 or 4 different times. A new, like, $200 million turnover chain that they have now. That's absolutely fantastic. So if Gregory Rousseau was on this defense, Miami, I know I had it, as the thumbnail of this video to kind of, not be clickbait, but a legitimate question, could Miami, I know that the biggest threat, I guess, is Clemson, in the ACC, but I don't see, again, it's only been one real tough game for them, but if Miami's able to cruise throughout the remainder of the season in the SEC, Lyle, does Miami play Notre Dame this year at all? Do you know?
They do not. So
since they don't have to play Notre Dame, if they can somehow miraculously squeak past Clemson, which again, I think we talked about this last week, if any, ACC teams are going to take down Clemson in the game, maybe not to win the conference, it's going to be Miami or it's going to be Notre Dame. Now, considering Miami doesn't have to play Notre Dame at all, that could help them out. And again, I'm not saying Miami's going to take down Clemson by any means, but if they can get lucky, if they can take down Clemson for a game, Who knows? It could be a special season for the Hurricanes because we see this before. If you have a top 5 quarterback in college football, that's all. I mean, it's not that it's all you need, but Derek King, he could take him to the next level that I don't think Miami could have gone without him.
I do think it's worth pointing out. Hold on. I do think it's worth pointing out that Miami, the big if for them is if they beat Clemson. So that's kind of a problem if that's one of your biggest, ifs about the season is you have to beat Clemson. But I think they are absolutely, the third or fourth team in that division. Obviously, they get past Louisville. We don't really know what to expect from Virginia Tech, at least not yet. And this week, I think, could be a big week for Virginia Tech. But outside of Clemson and Notre Dame, I think they are maybe that third team at this point. And maybe North Carolina. That's a good point, too. I saw somebody point out in the comments North Carolina, and they had that slow start, at least through the first 3.5 quarters against Syracuse. But North Carolina is another team to talk about, too.
Yeah. So it was a really impressive performance from Miami. Although Louisville lost, they did look good. I mean, they still got great performances from, Cunningham. Hawkins looked good. Tutu Atwell looked good. I mean, everyone, you pretty much looked good. It's just that Miami offense was tough to stop. But Louisville, again, definitely one of these teams that I don't think they're going to necessarily make a push to win the ACC, but they're going to play some teams tough this year. I mean, they're going to be one of those teams where every game they're going to be in and they have a chance to win. So really exciting stuff from Miami and Louisville that game. Also, in regards to Malik Cunningham, I've been trying to figure this out. I think there was actually an article on it the other day. What is his actual name? Because he goes by Malik Cunningham. There's also where's McHale, where he goes by McHale Cunningham.
He changed it 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, so he's
got
changed his name. So who knows? But again, Louisville, great performance from the Miami. They looked good, so exciting to see. Again, it's still Clemson's conference to lose. It's going to take a lot to take down Clemson, but Miami, they looked good. But did you guys have any other notable takeaways from this past weekend? There's a few that I was going to mention, but before I get to mine, I just thought I'd throw it to you guys if there's any other ones you guys would like to discuss.
Grant Wells, I'm sorry, man. That one's on me. A couple years ago when it came down to Chattanooga and we kept saying, don't sleep on Chattanooga. You want to know what we didn't do? We didn't sleep on Chattanooga. And you know what? This week I hyped up Grant Wells and I picked App State. So spoiler alert for later in the show. I picked ASU and I lost, and that's on me. And Grant Wells, that's my bad, dude. Ride or die. You're the man. We are Marshall.
Well, you know what happened that year when we weren't sleeping on Chattanooga, Josh? They led against Bama.
They were the only team to lead at the end of one quarter against Bama.
Against Alabama.
3-0, baby.
I got one more takeaway, Blake, that I just thought of. Speaking of Bama and Chattanooga, is I got to give props to the Citadel for covering. 49.5. Clemson scored 49 points in the first half of the game. So hey, do you want to do a running clock? We get it. Clemson's nah, bring it on. And they didn't let DJ Uyunglele score in the second half.
That's so crazy. They're like, hey, you want us to take it easy on you? And they're like, dude, look at me. No.
Their tackle was 6'2", 230 pounds. The Citadel's offense tackles. He's the size of most tight ends or slot receivers.
This just reverts back to my high school quote from 30 years ago. Good teams win. Great teams cover. My high school quote. It's my high school. No, I wish it was my high school quote.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the fact that Clemson was up 49-0 with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Now, I remember when Brady said at halftime, I think the live spread was Clemson minus 72. I was
72.5.
I was get on Citadel in a heartbeat because one, Clemson, they're literally not going to care at all. I mean, I figured they'd probably score a touchdown, maybe two, but yeah, imagine if you had, I don't know. I'm just trying to think on both ends. Just imagine what would be just better or worse if you had Clemson minus 49.5 with that much room and you lost, or just thinking you're completely out of it with the Citadel. You have them plus 49.5. You probably turn that game off, and then you check a few hours later, and you're like, "What? I won." So what a remarkable one! And
I'll tell you this: I made a bet at halftime because it's legal here in Indiana, so I can talk about it. It was as soon as I saw that 72.5 come over, I'm like, there is no way the good man Dabo Swinney's going to run up the score on the Citadel. He'll leave guys in, but he's not going to run up the score. So I took the second half under, and that hit. So I got my second half under, Blake.
So, I mean, how nice of him and how nice of Clemson to do what they need to do. But while he did touch up on it like briefly, and that's the fact that Notre Dame, which I don't know when South Florida became such an awful team, but Notre Dame 52-0. I was watching the game for daily fantasy purposes, and Notre Dame could have won that game 80-0. They just weren't trying like after the first few drives because they knew that they're going to beat them by a ton. So again, the teams you should beat, but seeing, Clemson come out, they get that win. Notre Dame, they could have let up in the second half in the third, fourth quarter, let South Florida score a few touchdowns. They didn't. So I know it's not a big deal, but when you see some of these teams, when they don't falter, they just kind of keep it on the gas the entire time. I think it's definitely a convincing sign. I know we asked this in the group chat, but Lyle, at what point did you turn off that game? Or were you a true fan and did you stick it out through all 4 quarters of a 52-0 game against South Florida?
I look at it like this. You get 12 weeks of your favorite team playing college football every year, and then you're done. So I'm not wasting my time watching a team that isn't my superior, like isn't my favorite team. So yes, I watched all 60 minutes of football. Just like I watched the 60 minutes of Bowling Green last year when it was like 56-0.
Blake, you asked a second ago when the last time South Florida was relevant.
No, I said I know that they're.
I was going to pull this up,
but no, just a few years ago, they had like 10 or 11 wins just a few years back.
They were number 2 though.
No,
yeah, they weren't number 2. They weren't number 2.
Team.
What I was saying was what happened to South Florida, where a few years ago they were so good, and now they're just. Do
we know what that graphic? Do we know what year that graphic is from?
I think I don't
know. I think I saw it on Out of Context college football on Twitter. But yeah, can we go back to that college football?
What year is this, Brady? What did you think it was?
I want to say 2010.
Okay, 2010 South Florida. Let's check. Like, who would have been
Week 7 BCS standings?
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know.
A random person from 2007.
Oh no, it could not have been. It could not. They were not very good in 2010.
So what random person says 2007. So maybe we'll go with a random person on that.
All right.
Guys, everyone's saying it 2007. So 2007. There you guys go, guys. Before we get to my takeaways,
they lost 3 straight games.
Oh yeah, that was the year of chaos. That was the best year of college football ever. Guys, before we move on, we got a donation from our man Kevin. So Kevin, thank you so much. What was your reaction to Justin Herbert's season debut that came a lot earlier than everyone expected the other day?
Him himself.
Yes.
Dude, in our Harris Highlights show, Fantasy League, it's a 2-quarterback league. My second quarterback for this week was going to be Drew Lock. And he was playing with a bunch of injured skill players. And this was before he got hurt, by the way, and went to the press conference at a sling. So I texted my buddy Chase, who's a Chargers fan. I was like, dude, is Tyrod Taylor worth a sniff this week? Like, I don't want to play Lock, and Sam Darnold's playing the Niners. So I'm not going there. And he was like, honestly, that's probably your best option since we don't have anybody else on the waiver wire because it's a 2-quarterback league. So Tyrod Taylor was the only one. And I ain't touching Mitch Trubisky. So I went and
2-0.
He's not good. I pick up Tyrod Taylor, and what do you know? He doesn't start, and it's Justin Herbert, and I got 0 points from my quarterbacks this week, and I still won, so I'll take it. But and then after the game, Anthony Lynn's like, if Tyrod's healthy, he's going to be our quarterback, and I was like, well, did you watch that game?
I'll speak from that point of things, Josh. And I had a conversation with someone about this same thing earlier. And it was, as a coach, there is no way you can say our original starting quarterback had a chest problem. He was hurt. He got sick. Had to go to the hospital. There's no way we're saying, well, he didn't, do anything to lose the job. He just got an injury. You cannot immediately come out and be like, we're going to go to Justin now. Tyrod's going to be like, what the hell? Like, I literally did nothing. I did everything was out of my ability at this time. So,
do you think Herbert gets the starting job before the end of the season?
I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
Reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. First of all, don't punt the ball. Go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Also, the one interception by Herbert was really dumb. He should have run. Other than that, I thought Herbert played a great game.
Yeah, no. What's going to happen is they're going to go back to Tyrod whenever he's healthy. He'll go 2 or 3 games, and then after he loses all those games, he'll say, Tyrod, listen, we want to win games, and we're going to go to Justin Herbert. Like, Tyrod shouldn't lose the starting job because, as Josh said, nothing happened to him, but everyone knows, and I think Anthony Lynn knows, Justin Herbert's the better quarterback. But again, you give Tyrod the starts, just see what can happen for a few, and then after that, then you go to Justin Herbert, which I think is going to happen by probably like week 7, week 8 at the absolute latest.
When's their bye week? That's what we got to look at too, because it could be one of the things where you throw him in after the bye week. Also, I got to give Herbert props, as he said he found out like 5-10 seconds before kickoff that he was starting. He thought Anthony Lynn was joking with him.
Yeah. So I was reading the comments. Did you give your thoughts yet? I might have missed it.
I mean, I was pretty blown away, to be honest. I mean, I've sat on this show and said I don't think he's going to be much of anything. I thought he was going to be one of the draft busts pretty easy.
You had him, I think, when we did our like mock draft going like in the late first round, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, and to be honest, it's been one game. Like, I still think Jordan Love's going to end up being better than him long term, but that's just my own take. But for his first game, like, I was pretty surprised. Like, he looked good. He had the one bad pick, but to play the reigning Super Bowl champs and hang all the way through overtime is pretty impressive.
I like it. So there you go. So Kevin, I hope that we are able to provide your thoughts on that, but we have a few more minutes spending on takeaways from week 3. I just wanted to get to mine briefly. We talked about Miami Louisville. So in case you joined late, we already gave our thoughts on that Miami Louisville week 1 matchup. Just some things that I wanted to quickly, give credit for. Louisiana, they had a great comeback. They came back. They won in overtime. Louisiana, they're now 2-0. They're just on this national championship push, which I am fully on board with. Louisiana is really looking good. They're my way too early, playoff pick coming out of the group of 5. We'll see how long that lasts. Navy was down, I think, 24-0 at the half. And this was after, they allowed 50 points to BYU in the first week. So pretty much for the first 6 halves, I think Navy was outscored like 80-10, however many they scored in that BYU game. Then Navy comes back. They get the win. A great job by Navy. And Josh already kind of talked about it earlier in the show. I think we might get to it in a bit, but Marshall, I mean, I think maybe Lyle was the only one that had Marshall winning last week. We all picked Appalachian State for good reason, but Marshall, they're looking like they could potentially be one of those group of 5 schools that makes a push at the New Year's Six. Marshall, they've looked good, 2 great wins. And what did I say earlier in the show? You got to have a good quarterback, and Marshall does. And the thing is, he played better week 1 than he did week 2, and they still got the better win. So props, hats off to Marshall, hats off to them there. And UCF, UCF looked fantastic against Georgia Tech, which, by the way, Georgia Tech guys, we were talking about it during the game. First off, their uniforms are fantastic. Great. Number 2, I think this happened last year or the year before, was they've ditched the triple option. Now they can actually play normal football. But I forget what their name of their new head coach is, but they were doing a little spiel on him, and he pretty much said like he wants to bring Georgia Tech back to being a relevant powerhouse. He wants to recruit in Atlanta. He wants to be able to, recruit actual offensive players, not just running the triple option. So the fact that he's so
Jeff Collins is their head coach.
The fact that he's so in on trying to turn Georgia Tech around, they look good like in the first half pretty much. They just had, I think, like 4 or 5 stupid turnovers, but they were, making it a somewhat respectable game. But Georgia Tech, they're a team that, keep an eye on them for the years to come. They're not going to be back this year, but if they can continue to build on this, I think Georgia Tech, they can be back to being, one of those power. I think they're like top 15, top 20 all time in college football wins. So hopefully Georgia Tech can be back. But again, UCF,
they also have a monster of a punter.
Monster. That's what happens when you have a 30-year-old from Australia.
No, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Georgia Tech. Yeah.
Georgia Tech's Presley Harvin. He's like the guy that's 6'1", 280 pounds.
Is he the Australian, or who was the Australian?
No, USF, South Florida has an Australian.
South Florida had the Australian.
He's 30 years old. He's 30 years old.
I feel like a ton of these teams have Australian dudes.
Yeah.
That's the move. You get a 30-year-old from Australia. So guys, if we don't have any other takeaways,
I got one thing about that Navy game real quick, Blake. Are you really going to go against the Navy battling a wave? Like, come on. Like, there was no doubt in my mind.
That's
Navy
fantastic.
is like, they train for this. They trained to battle the waves, and they did. They won. Go Navy.
They did.
I like it. So we had some people, I'm looking at right now what their thoughts were. One of the greater games Louisiana Tech Southern missed. Unfortunately, I can't give any insight on that game, unfortunately, but I'm glad it was a great game. But Andrew says Georgia Tech's being slept on. They will definitely win more than 2 games this upcoming year. All right, guys, before we move on to our stars of the week, we got to do it. An update on our Patreon league. Now, first and foremost, I just want to say major congratulations to our man, Andrew Koster. He was the highest scorer of the week, scoring 236 points. However, I was right behind him. I put up 225 this week, guys. So I was, 11 points away from being the top scorer of the week. I mean, what an absolute game. Guys, the crazy thing is, so there are 12 members in our fantasy league for the Patreon league. Josh scored the second least amount of points in the entire league. He still won this past week. His matchup was the two lowest scoring teams of the entire week.
Wow.
So I'm just going to read some of these scores off. So Josh, he pulled off the win, scoring, where is it right here? 126 points. So Josh got the win, scoring 126. Some notable teams that lost this week included teams scoring 174, 193, 176, 152, and 142. So that's the thing about fantasy. It's all matchup dependent, how you can go. So Josh,
it was really weird because I think I said this last week. My top three guys, my top three skill players are the same three on our other fantasy league that we're in with just us, and the same in the Harris Highlights League, which is Robert Woods, Devontae Adams, and Dalvin Cook. Devontae Adams led all fantasy players last week in points and then scored 6 this week. And the same thing, it was like that for all my other dudes. So 2 weeks in a row, in both of our leagues, I went from having the most points by a lot with Koster in our league. And then in our other league, I had the most points by far to the fewest points this week.
And Josh, you won with only one quarterback.
I won with only one quarterback too. So that was, I kind of lucked out this week. In our other league, I'm not happy about that game. Thanks a lot, Drew Brees.
All right, so there we go. That's the latest update, guys. It's time to move on now to our 4 stars of the week. We each pick, player, team, coach, broadcaster, anything you want. Your star of the week. Who wants to get going with who they picked?
Okay, cool. All right. So I'll get started this week. The hat got.
All right, can we finally take the sunglasses off because it's getting a little dark in here?
whatever floats your boat, Blake. My stars of the week, plural. I've got Marshall's Stephen Gilmore and Tavante Beckett, a defensive back and a linebacker, respectively. Of course, I watched the whole Marshall game. Those are my guys this year since ASU's not playing and USC's not playing. But it's not Stephon Gilmore. It's his younger brother, Stephen Gilmore, who got picked on the whole first half. He had 2 really bad PI penalties. This App State quarterback was just throwing only to his receiver the whole time because he was just picking on Gilmore. So what does Stephen Gilmore do? He picks him off, and then he finishes the game with a pick, 2 pass deflections, and 8 total tackles. So he ends up having a really good game. On the other side of things, Tavante Beckett, this guy is the Conference USA Player of the Week, leading all tacklers with 16 tackles this week and 8 solos. I think that these two guys, this was a low-scoring game. I thought it was going to be a shootout. These two dudes are the reason why Marshall ends up pulling out the win, because Grant Wells was good, but he didn't have his best game. He didn't have anywhere near what he had week 1. And App State had a couple of chances to really get back in this game, and these two guys and the Marshall defense really shut him down. So Gilmore, after the early mess-ups with the huge pick, and it was a sweet play too. Great pick, turned it around. Tavante Beckett, Defensive Player of the Week in the conference. Those are my 2 stars of the week, along with the Marshall defense. We are Marshall.
I like it. So if you guys have stars of the week, drop comments in the live chat with who your star of the week was. Looking at someone right now, we got Brett Cameron, 4 TDs, slammed some beers from the bench. Big week from the quarterback from Salem State.
Salem State.
There you go. So yeah, again, you guys, whoever your star of the week was, drop a comment down below, and we'll share some of your guys' stars.
Well, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. And mine's a little out of the box, but this isn't off who had the best week. If I had to pick somebody for that was going to be my star, we talked about it in the chat a little bit, I would have gone with Jurkovec because he had a pretty good debut for Boston College. Mm-hmm. But this is more off an idea than stats. So my star this week was DJ Ugalele, who's obviously Clemson's backup quarterback. And the reason being, I mean, he did score 2 touchdowns. But I'm sitting there watching some of that Clemson Citadel game. Clemson is just beating the living daylights out of the Citadel. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wait a second, how often do 2 number 1 picks play on the same team, same position, in the same game. And I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, has it ever happened? And then the first thought is, well, Kyler and Baker played together. After that, I couldn't think of anybody. So I went to look it up, and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling. It goes all the way back to the 1940s. I think Georgia and Notre Dame both had a couple of quarterbacks or running backs in the 1940s that played on the same team, same game, same position. Now, obviously, look, I know I'm jumping way ahead here. Trevor Lawrence, I'll lock it in right now, barring an injury, number 1 pick. It's been that way since his freshman year. DJ's got a long way to go, and it's going to start with him putting together 2 good years when he takes over next year. But I never really got the chance to appreciate what was going on with Baker and Kyler when they were there together, because Kyler's college football career kind of took a dive for a while, and I also thought he was going to play baseball. Where these two guys, I mean, I know DJ's only going to play mop-up minutes all year, but I'm sitting there watching these guys, and I'm thinking to myself, we might look back on this team and this quarterback room a few years down the line and be like, whoa. I mean, the talent in there was unreal, and that's not something you're going to see every day.
I like that.
He did catch it off guard.
They said on the broadcast, they have 3 potential NFL quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
There's a third stringer as well. I'm blanking on his name. It's probably harder than Ungualele too.
Yeah, and if anybody in the comments can think of anybody else, I couldn't find any other situation like that. But if anybody can find 2 number 1 picks that played in the same game, same team, same position, let me know. What I found is it went all the way back to the 1940s besides Baker and Kyler.
Did Baker and Kyler ever play in the same game together?
They did.
They did. Against like an FCS team or whatever?
Kyler played a few snaps and mop-up minutes, and there was also that play in the playoff game where he was in, if you remember that. He slotted out at wide receiver or something.
So they were on the same time too.
Yeah, that too.
That's cool.
So before we get to Brady, some people are sharing theirs. That's a great profile picture right there, I must say. It's a great quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, I mean, he had himself a fantastic week. Cost Sports, Dylan Gabriel. We got James saying De'Ara King, and Cost Sports says respect to Lyle for making that his star of the week pick. Again, Lyle said
that's something I would do, Lyle. I respect it.
That was a BK stat.
Yeah.
Lyle said we're not going to guess it. We all gave our guesses. He said these are good guesses, but no. Here's one from James also. Florida 2 Heisman quarterbacks on the same team, Tim Tebow and Cam Newton. But fortunately, Tim Tebow didn't go number 1 in that draft when he was drafted. But still, I mean, that's thinking about some of the quarterback rooms that we've had. That's definitely one of the better ones. All right, Brady, let's hear your star.
Well, Blake, I'm really glad you put up these names of some of the people before I went, because now it just makes me look kind of repetitive. I'm going Dylan Gabriel.
No, it makes you look smarter, Brady. It makes you look smarter because you already had it, so the fans aren't.
Well, then should I switch it? I got a couple other guys I could go with. I got Deion Sanders, the new head coach at Jackson State. I got Jared Dokes, the running back from Cincinnati, putting up 4 touchdowns. He's an Indy boy. No, I'm going to stick with Dylan Gabriel. What he did this week was great against Georgia Tech. That UCF quarterback room is interesting. It's one of those things where I think Lyle, didn't one of the Notre Dame quarterbacks go to UCF as well?
Yeah, Brandon Wimbush.
Was it Wimbush? Didn't he transfer there? Wimbush transferred there, and then also Mackenzie Milton, I think, is still there. Not probably an active quarterback, but he's still there. But he had a great week.
He hasn't been activated yet.
Yeah, exactly. A big win, 27 for 41, 417 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I'm going to give my star to Dylan Gabriel, but if we're going someone else, I guess, then I'll switch to Jared Dokes.
And someone actually put that for their star of the week as well. So sorry, Brady, you're still not outsmarting the fans. Hey, Lyle, do you want to try to pronounce this one right here?
What is it? Taysoon Fomachan? Is that right?
We're gonna find out in a second.
I'm sure Brady has the Clemson media guy that has
that
the pronunciation, so he'll probably get that up. Get that up right now, guys. There's a name that I didn't really see on here that I'm looking through, so I guess it makes me the smartest pick of all, which is De'Ara King. Just kidding, someone put De'Ara King, but I talked about this earlier. De'Ara King, I mean, what a game from him! 325 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He looked fantastic, for Miami, this game, and we saw it a few years ago, but 2 years ago he had 50 touchdowns in 10 games. So he was averaging 5 touchdowns a game. Had he just played 2 more games, and then Houston would have been in the bowl game, he has 3 games to get to 60 touchdowns, which I think he definitely would have done. So De'Ara King, we've seen what he can do when he's healthy. Now he has a really good team surrounding him, a really good offense, and it was a great, I'm not going to say a breakout performance for him, but this is something that we desperately wanted to see from De'Ara King. Again, if Miami has any chance of competing in the ACC, they're going to need King to play like a Heisman caliber quarterback, which he did. So for me, De'Ara King, what a game from him. Maybe one of his best games of his career. It's tough because he had some really good games at Houston where he's putting up 7-8 touchdowns a game, but it's definitely a really convincing game from De'Ara King.
All right, I got the pronunciation if you're ready for it.
I'm ready.
It is Tyson, Taisun, Pumachan. Tyson Pumachan.
That wasn't even close.
Yeah.
I would have said Omicron.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Good thing I didn't try. Watch me. I probably would have pronounced it perfectly. Even though I can't
Probably,
get the
yeah, right. Not a chance, Blake.
even though I can't get the easy one. All right, guys.
I'll put this up real quick too.
What are we getting up?
Give me 1 second. You go ahead and talk. I'm going to build this real quick while we're
Just some
talking.
other noticeable news that I want to mention quickly. We got it right here. Dylan McCaffrey transferring. I guess he's also opting out for the upcoming season as well. So Michigan, we talked about in previous shows, they'd have a starting quarterback battle. Well, there you go. We know who Michigan's starting quarterback is. It's Joe Milton. Dylan McCaffrey, where's he going to transfer? We'll have to wait and see. But he is opting out for the season, and he'll transfer. He'll go somewhere else. Some other notable news. Alabama, they officially named their starting quarterback, guys, and they went with Mac Jones, who, pretty much memorized every number of every player on every team and gave an interesting press conference. If you guys want to go watch the weirdest press conference of your life, just YouTube Mac Jones press conference from was today. It was yesterday. I don't know when it was. It's a weird press conference. The dude straight up memorized numbers.
Yeah.
Linebacker number 52. He switched to number 11.
No, dude, I've been saying
first names too.
I've
He's
been
like,
saying Mac 10's gonna get the starting job for months, and it showed.
There you go.
Buddy Mac 10 over here is going, yeah, number 12, Brian, he had a pretty good year, and then he plays on the right side. And then number 13, Jacob, he's on the left side. And then rushing off the right side of the defensive line is number 98, Andrew. He's also really good. And he just listed everybody's name and number and just said they were good.
So
super strange.
So there you go, right there. So Mac Jones is the starting quarterback for Alabama. Guys, does he make it through the entire season before we see Bryce Young make a start? Do you guys think yes or no? We don't have to go
start or make an appearance.
Make a start, because Bryce Young will be making an appearance. He'll probably make an appearance this weekend in the fourth quarter. I think they're favored by 27 points, so we'll definitely be seeing Bryce Young. But do you think Bryce Young makes a start, assuming it's not injury related to Mac Jones? Yes or no?
I do.
I do.
Barring injury, I'm going to say no. And I think that it's because Mac Jones has looked pretty good in the past. He had a couple of mistakes last year. 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 3 picks is pretty good for a guy that played how many games last year? 5 games, and he lost once, and it was that Auburn game to a Heisman Trophy candidate in Bo Nix. I'm kidding, of course.
Yes.
But they did lose that game. 5 games, he was 4-1 and won a bowl game. I think he'll be good. I think that he is better than some other Alabama quarterbacks we've seen in the past. And the stigma about Alabama quarterbacks for a really long time was, the team around them is really good. And I think that that's kind of a misconception, but also we've kind of forgotten that was a conversation that people had because Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts were both so good at Alabama. But for the longest time, we said they've got decent quarterbacks, but mostly the team around them is really good. I think Mac Jones is better than a lot of those guys that were before Tua and Jalen Hurts. So I think he lasts this season, and we'll see what happens after that. But I don't think there's any reason for Bryce Young to jump ship or anything because he's also young and he's a dual threat quarterback and he can stick around. He'll be really good eventually.
He is young. He is Bryce Young. But I agree. I think Mac Jones makes it through the entire season, unless, of course, he just is awful. But he's a formidable quarterback. He'll look at, all right, guys, it's time now to get to Blake's bets. We're going to get to the latest and what happened. So just like last week, one of my bets was canceled. So instead of having 10 total bets for the first 2 weeks, I only have 8. And just like last week, I went 2-2, so we're officially 4-4 on the season. I hit UCF minus 7.5 over Georgia Tech. I hit Syracuse plus 22 at Pittsburgh. Now I did take Louisville with the points to beat Miami, so it didn't get that one. And this one, Oklahoma State, I had the minus 23 against Tulsa. That's something that I guess we didn't even bring up during our takeaways, which I don't know how any of us forgot about it. I didn't even write it in my notes, but Oklahoma State, I thought they were going to blow them out of the water. Again, they were favored by 23 points, and they struggled with Tulsa. They were losing in the fourth quarter. I think they ended up winning by 12, 13 points, something like that. They had some last-minute scoring, but Oklahoma State, I guess we can stay on this before I give my picks. Just a quick thing. Are you guys concerned at all by Oklahoma State, which I think I had them as a sleeper in the Big 12? A lot of people had them as sleepers in the Big 12. And again, Tulsa, they're not going to be good this year. So we don't have to go too in-depth on it. Just a quick yes or no and maybe a little reasoning. Should we be concerned with Oklahoma State?
I'll jump in here pretty quickly and say, if Spencer Sanders is healthy, there's no concern. That was the big concern. He got hurt very early on, but didn't they end up getting down to their third string quarterback at one point too?
I think it was just the two.
Was it a two?
No, they might have put in a third guy.
The third string, who was a true freshman, I think it was.
Yeah.
Because their second string wasn't doing much, and then the third stringer comes in and drops a dime to Tylan Wallace on the first ball. That's what it was. So if Spencer Sanders is healthy, there's no concern. I think if he's hurt longer than just a week, then you start to look into it a little more.
My concern is the offensive line. And yeah, Spencer Sanders was hurt for that last game, but my concern is with the O-line because they didn't look good and there were questions going into the season. Bottom line, I think they've got a quarterback group that'll be fine. And there you go. Andrew Koster, Kost Sports, Oklahoma State's offensive line did not look good.
Mm-mm.
No, they didn't look good. But look, I think if Sanders comes back, they've got Tylan Wallace, they've got Chuba Hubbard. Let's see how they do this week against West Virginia, but the short answer is no, I'm not worried yet.
I'm a little concerned. I mean, look, 16 points against Tulsa, number one. I know Spencer Sanders got hurt, but that's not great. Also, Sanders didn't have a great year last year, and I know people think he was going to build on his 2020 campaign, but, now if he's going to be battling an injury, the offensive line's not particularly good. I'm not saying they're going to lose 6 games, but I'm just a little bit of a question mark.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first game for them, so nothing to really go too in depth on. There were some injury problems, but again, they should have scored more than 16 points. They struggled with Tulsa for majority of the game, and they pulled out late because again, they were losing in the fourth quarter.
Over under was 64.
And there was a total of 30 points scored, something like that. So
20.
There you go,
20
or 20 because no, it was 16 to. Who knows? It hit the under, which should have been one of Blake's bets. Speaking of Blake's bets, guys, here are my 5 games for the upcoming week. You guys can take a guess at which one is going to be canceled this week, and we can go from there. My first one, I got Bo Nix in Auburn, minus 7.5 over Kentucky. I like him with the points. I like Bo Nix. This is his breakout season. Bo Nix for Heisman begins this weekend. Louisville, I'm sticking with them. They are +3 at Pittsburgh, so they're underdogs at Pittsburgh. I like Louisville to bounce back this week. Oklahoma State, I like them to bounce back. They're favored by only 8 points against West Virginia, who I don't think a lot of us were really high on for this upcoming season, so I think Oklahoma State, I think they bounce back. Baylor, minus 16.5 over Kansas. Kansas, I gave you guys a shot a few weeks ago. I took you guys when you guys were favored with the points. You let me down. You lost by 2 touchdowns, so nope. Baylor is going to throttle you guys. You guys are going to get bunned. Texas State, they're my final one. I like them plus 17.5 at Boston College. I think Boston College wins, but I like Texas State to keep it close because they've looked good the first 2 weeks. Granted, they haven't played a team like Boston College, but
as long as they don't have to kick.
As long as they don't start kicking the ball. We all know what happened the first time they did that. All right, guys, moving on from Blake's bets. I'm trying to think. I think for the most part, we can jump right now into the Q&As and the pick'ems. I think I might want to do the pick'ems first just because the pick'ems are kind of long this week. There are a lot of games to get to, so I figure we can go through that, and then based on that, we can see how much time we have left for Q&A, because Q&A, that can get crazy, that can get wild. I don't know what Brady's mouthing. Looks like he just said 14.
14 games this week.
14 games this week, so we got a whole bunch. Should I get the music loaded on my phone for us to play?
I guess so.
I'm getting it up right now. While I get it up, you guys just talk amongst each other. Read the comments. How's it going?
Well, I want to say one thing, and Josh just brought it up. We're going to touch on this in a previous or in the next show or in a future show, and we'll focus a whole show on it. But the Big Ten, baby, is back.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, Blake,
Thanks for
college
bringing that up,
football
Brady.
expert, right?
It's because I forgot to put it as one of the banners over here for this, so I'll do that right now.
No, we're not going to. I thought we weren't going to touch on it.
Well, we are briefly, because remember the one thing that I wanted to talk about, guys. The Big Ten is officially back. We talked about this, in the previous shows about what's going to happen when they come back. They are doing an 8-game schedule officially, conference only. Sorry, Nebraska, you guys get absolutely shafted to start your season. But which, if it's true, where the Big Ten pretty much gave them the finger and said, we're giving you the hardest schedule imaginable, that's actually fantastic. But who knows? Sorry, Nebraska, it happens. So the Big Ten's officially back. And the one thing I wanted to talk about, we are going to go more in depth on the Big Ten when the Big Ten, I forget the weekend it comes back, but it's still a few weeks away. When that happens, we're going to do more of a Big Ten preview. We're going to talk about teams, what our predictions are, all that kind of stuff. But the one question I did want to bring up, guys, is the fact that Ohio State, they're most likely going to go 8-0. If they go 8-0, they're probably going to be in the college football playoff because they're one of the 4 best teams. I think we all can agree they're one of the 4 best teams in the country. However, let's say a team this year like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Penn State, one of these teams that not necessarily is guaranteed to be a top 4 team in the country. Let's just say they go undefeated. They go 8-0, which I assume 9-0, including the Big Ten title game. If one of these teams goes 9-0, is that going to be enough, do you guys think, to get them into the college football playoff over maybe teams like if Notre Dame goes, if they're in the ACC title game, they're going to play 12 games. If Notre Dame goes 11-1, if they go 10-2, if you have teams in the SEC that have 1 loss that might be more deserving, do you think teams aside from Ohio State have a chance to make it in with only an 8-game schedule? And do you think it's fair if they do make it in?
Yes and yes. I think they can get in, and I think it's fair. But again, it also depends on the slate of games that you're playing. So outside of Ohio State, if Ohio State goes 8-0, wins the Big Ten championship, they're in because they're Ohio State. If you get a team like Michigan that pulls off an upset over Ohio State and pulls off an upset over Penn State and still wins the Big Ten title based off of whoever they play, then I think, yes, that's another team that has to get in because it's a Power 5 conference. I think it's also worth considering that nobody's playing a full 12 or 13 game schedule this year. So I think that's worth taking into effect. It really just depends on who's in those rankings come the end of the season. Because if you have like an let's not say Ohio State, let's say you've got Michigan that does pull off those kind of upsets, and then you have those group of 5 teams that have been really good this year that people are thinking could make a legitimate push for the playoffs if they continue to play well, because there's fewer teams in college football this year, then yeah, I'm still giving the nod to a team that played in a Power 5 conference like the Big Ten and won all those games in the regular season. So yeah, I think you give the edge. I think it's still fair because it's a Power 5, but also with the Big Ten coming back in, that puts us at 90 teams, which means you can play a full slate of bowl games this year. So that's good too, outside of the playoff.
Look, this answer isn't given much on this show, but it's 2020. I'm going to say it. I literally have no idea. I have no idea what the committee is going to do. I have no idea how they're going to determine strength of schedule in the Big Ten versus the ACC or wherever. Because if you've got a 10-1 team in the ACC that's played more games, can you really tell them that they're a worse team than an 8-0 Michigan team? At the same time, how do you tell an 8-0 Michigan team that hypothetically beats Ohio State that they're not worthy? I have no idea. We're going to have to see how this plays out. Can they? Yes. Can an undefeated Big Ten team not named Ohio State also get in? Yeah. But I have no idea how this is going to play out.
I'm going to jump in the same boat as you, Lyle. Let's paddle together. And it's sort of upstream because there's so much uncertainty moving forward. Say a team, there are no bye weeks in this Big Ten schedule. Say a team like Michigan, all right? Just like we've used Michigan as an example for all of them. Or how about this? I'll go another way. Say Ohio State. Ohio State is hands down the best team in the Big Ten. Say they have a game against a lower school, against Rutgers. I don't even know if they play Rutgers. But say they have a game against Rutgers that gets canceled or postponed. There are no bye weeks built into this Big Ten schedule. They have it so right at the 9th week of the season, which is the conference championship, is also the same time that the playoff committee will select. So Say Ohio State plays 7 games instead of everybody else playing 8 or a couple other people playing 8. Then what do? I'm just proposing this. I'm not saying I have an answer. I'm not saying I know the answer. That's, somebody way above my pay grade. Actually, it's a voluntary position, so it's not above my pay grade to decide. So it's such an interesting thing because, Notre Dame had a game canceled this week. How does this affect their ACC schedule? They have a lot more time moving forward. The Big Ten starting October 24th. The end of October, you're playing, November, December football. It's gonna crunch up things pretty much. But one of the cool things that we see is everyone's playing an 8-game schedule, but everyone's going to play 9 games. I don't know if you guys saw this. The weekend of the conference championship, number 1 versus number 1 will play each other. But throughout all the way down, number 2 against number 2 will play each other. 3 versus 3 all the way down. So everyone's getting 9 games. So that could be something there of, all right, hey, say Michigan is 7-1 and they're the number 2 seed. Ohio State's 8-0. But Ohio State gets routed in the conference championship. Then do you look at the number 2 seed there? Do you look at the team that beat Ohio State? There's really a whole bunch of variables that are really uncertain at this point. But long story short, yes, I think a Big Ten team can make it, barring any major schedule differences that'll happen and that'll pop up.
Let me just.
There's our worst of the worst. Is take those 2 last place teams in the Big
7
Ten.
versus 7.
Whoever 7 versus 7 is our worst of the worst for Week 9, making it easy on us.
I was just going to quickly say that if I didn't clarify, if Ohio State specifically goes 8-0, then I think they will get in without question because almost everybody knows they're that good. It's everybody else in the Big Ten where I literally have no idea.
Yeah, well, because that was the whole point of the question, where everyone knows Ohio State, they're one of the 4, maybe one of the 2, 3 best teams in the country. They're fine. It's just if one of these other teams goes 8-0, goes undefeated, then we're gonna have some question. That's why the college football playoff committee just needs to say, guys, this is a different year. Everything's bad. We're just gonna make an 18 playoff this year, and why not? So that'll make
any time to experiment with it. This is the time to experiment.
Yeah, because you're gonna have teams. I mean, let's just say the Pac-12.
But I think the thing is they have to commit to it for like 3 years.
Yeah, which is kind of a drag because even the Pac-12, they're likely going to come back. They might come back early, end of October, mid-October, early November, and they might be in the same boat where they play an 8-game schedule. What happens if Oregon comes out? They go 8-0. They win the conference championship. They're like a 9-0, but you can't have them in the playoff. This is like, again, you can't do it because of schedule or because of contracts and all that stuff, but this would be the prime year to have an 8-team playoff because there are going to be some teams that probably are deserving that might not make it in because of this whole strange thing. So unfortunately, we can't get an 8-team playoff. But again, this would be the absolute year to do it. But guys, it is time now to move on to the pick'ems. How's it sound?
Great. Also, I'm going to throw this in super fast. Give me Georgia, Ohio State college football playoff this year. I have to get that in. Give me Georgia, Ohio State. There's not a game I want to see more.
Why? Fields going up against Georgia?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, guys. So we got the pick'ems right now. It was a hectic week last week, guys, because Lyle comes out on top. He's winning now 13 points. I think I have the points from last week. Let me see if I do, unless I deleted them. I deleted them, unfortunately. But it was like Lyle got I think all of them right. And I think
well, Josh,
bye, Blake.
Lyle, take over. Who wants to do it today?
Bye, Blake.
What did you say, Brady?
Said who wants to take over?
Oh man, are we just gonna take over the pick'ems without the host? Is that
yes?
Is that the way
How
we're
this
going?
goes. All right, so welcome back to the Schaefer Highlight Show with
there we
Lyle
go.
Goldstein and Brady Klein. So basically, Lyle's in first place with 13 points. Brady's got 10. I've got 10, and Blake's got 9. But the issue now is we've got 16 games this week, so this could all change.
14
games in 1 week, and we've got a lot of good games. This could totally, Blake. All right, this could totally change, Blake.
There we go. This is when things get really interesting during the year because, again, there's a lot. So, guys, we, as you said, 14 games. For some of the big games, we can go a little more in depth on. For the most part, we got to try to push through these because we still have the Q&A to get to. So, without further ado, let's get this bad boy underway, starting with UAB at South Alabama.
Forget the Iron Bowl. This is the Alabama rivalry I want to see. I'm taking the Blazers to get the dub.
I'm going UAB. UAB on the road.
UAB will get the DUB. UAB getting the dub.
Oh, that was cute.
Their mascot's a dragon. I mean, come on. a fire-breathing dragon. Whenever we talk about mascot battles, we never bring up UAB, but again,
That's true.
a fire-breathing dragon, you're not going to lose. Maybe
Dude, all you have to do is be a donkey and you'll beat it.
there you go.
Claim it.
That's all you got to be. Then it'll fall in love with you. Number 5, Florida at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's first game at Ole Miss.
I think it'll be a good test for Florida early, but the Gators get the win.
Yeah, it's exciting to see some SEC football back, but Florida's just too good. Kyle Trask will have a big day, Florida.
Kyle Trask. I think there's really a great first week showing for Kyle Trask and these Gators. I'm going to go with Florida.
Yeah, Ole Miss, it'll be interesting to see, but you got to go with Florida. Hopefully their stadium's doing fine after there was a massive fire in it the other week, so I'm going to go with Florida. Number 23, Kentucky at number 5, Auburn.
I don't know what to think about the Wildcats right now, but I think that obviously we've got the clear-cut Heisman frontrunner Bo Nix, and he's going to lead the Tigers to a win.
Yes.
If you think this game's going to be a blowout, to take the tagline from a former Auburn player, you don't know Bo. I'm still taking Auburn, but it's going to be close.
You know, last night, Monday Night Football, great game. Sorry, Blake.
It's all good.
Great game, but ESPN did a mega cast. They had Herbie and Fowler on ESPN2 interviewing a bunch of people, and they had Peyton Manning and Charles Barkley on at one point. And Charles Barkley said it perfectly. We ain't worried about Kentucky. This isn't basketball. I'm going Auburn.
God, that whole interview was fantastic.
It was great.
I mean, that was what a duo between Charles Barkley and Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Bo Nix and his Tigers in this one. Number 24, Louisville at number 21, Pittsburgh.
Oh, man, Louisville was disappointing last week, but I think they come out fired up, and I think they get a bounce back dub.
Kenny Pickett had a good week last week, but I just still think the offensive talent and firepower on Louisville is superior, so I'm going to go Cardinals.
I'm going Cardinals. I think they get a bounce back win. Traveling up to Pitt.
I mean, I got Louisville in Blake's bets. I got him as an underdog. I might have to change that to money line, but I'm going to go Louisville in that one. Iowa State at TCU. Iowa State gets their bounce back opportunity after one of the worst losses of the season so far.
Yeah, they haven't played in 2 weeks. Charlie Kolar missed that Louisiana game with an injury, and I think he's supposed to be back this week. My biggest question mark is, like, where does TCU think they're going to score points? Like, who on that offense is going to score points? Right now, I don't have an answer. I don't know if they do. So I think Cyclones win. I'm going to take Brock Purdy with a late fourth quarter touchdown to get the win.
We're about to learn what Iowa State's all about. I mean, TCU probably has the best set of defensive players in the conference. I mean, take that for what it's worth. But I think Brock Purdy comes back and has a good day, so I'm going to go Iowa State.
I'm going to go TCU. I was high on them a couple years ago. I had them as a sleeper team.
Yeah.
That was the one prediction I've ever gotten right on the show, I think, and I haven't been totally scrutinized for. So I'm going to go TCU at home. I think they're going to get a win over Iowa State.
That's the only thing you've been scrutinized for. The only thing you.
No, the only thing I haven't been scrutinized for.
Yeah.
I've been scrutinized for a lot of other things.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yes. I like what Lyle said. I mean, this is a huge game for Brock Purdy, Iowa State. If Brock Purdy, Iowa State, they don't look good, they lose. I mean, it's not like, in other leagues where, like, there's panic. Like, what do you do? I mean, it's college football. You're going to have the same team every week. But if Iowa State and Brock Purdy lose, that's going to hurt his draft stock. And Iowa State, who I think a lot of us had as a sleeper in the Big 12, that's not going to be good. But I do have the Cyclones in this one. Mississippi State at number 6, LSU, the head coaching debut at Mississippi State for former friend of the Pac-12, Mike Leach.
Friend of the program.
This
is another SEC matchup where it's going to be like a good early test for one of these top teams. I think it's a good test for LSU, but Tigers by 10. Hey, man, love you, man. Tigers by 10.
It's going to be really, really interesting to see what LSU looks like with everybody that left for the NFL and Jamar Chase sitting out. We're going to get to see what Miles Brennan's got in his debut, and we're going to get to see what KJ Costello's got in his Mississippi State debut. But I think LSU handles them.
I'm rocking an LSU bucket hat. Oh, it's stuck. Hang on. And an LSU beanie. And I think it's pretty obvious. I'm rocking with the Tigers. Also, did you guys see the interview on 60 Minutes with Coco Orgeron? It's Coach O's mom.
With the gumbo.
She's the most electrifying human being on the planet. I want nothing more than to go down to that tiny town in Louisiana, What was it called, Josh? You brought it up.
Oh
It's
God,
like Parish Marsh or whatever.
Yeah.
Parish Marsh. You want some gumbo? Let's go, Joe's mom. Whatever it was. I want to go down to Louisiana. I want to eat gumbo with her. I want to hang out by the creek where they were playing football growing up. And I'm going to go with LSU. I'm going Tigers by 100.
Well, man, you just need to have a brother that's considering, becoming an offensive lineman and try to get him recruited by LSU. Then you can do everything you want with Coach O. One thing I'm interested to see, guys, and I read this report today, and I'm interested to see how he does. Eric Gilbert, the tight end recruit, that LSU got, who I think is like the number one tight end recruit like ever in regards to like how they do this new, like, how they determine it. I think by 24/7 Sports, he's the greatest tight end recruit they've ever seen. Some of the players came out today and said, like, already from what they've seen, they think this guy is going to be the greatest tight end in college football history.
Yeah.
So he was the Gatorade Player of the Year, or the Gatorade Male High School Athlete of the Year, which coming from a tight end, I wouldn't be shocked if that's never happened before. So this guy's going to be a stud. It's not every day you get excited for a tight end, but something to keep an eye on, especially with Jamar Chase out. This guy could be getting 10 catches a game if that happens. But I'm going to go with LSU on this one. But I'm really excited to see how Eric Gilbert, how he looks. Number 22 Army at number 14 Cincinnati.
So I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. I'm more excited for this game than any other game on this slate. Like, to be totally honest. Yeah. I don't know. I think this is a weird game because Army's averaged like 40 points and 400 rushing yards per game, and they've absolutely dominated two other teams' offenses.
Their quarterback has thrown 2 passes all year long.
Yeah, I'm aware. So, like, I think this game's going to be really interesting, and they've shut down 2 teams in a row offensively. So, it's going to be interesting to see what they do against a seemingly really good offense in Cincinnati. I'm going to take the Bearcats by a touchdown. It's close, and I'm excited to see where this game's going to go and see if Army can run the ball for 400 yards, but then give up 400 yards passing.
I'm going to take Cincinnati. I'll take them by 10. Army hangs around in the first half, and then Cincinnati figures it out.
I'm going Cincinnati. I think Luke Fickell's got his team rolling hot. I'm going to go with the Bearcats at home against Army.
This is going to be a fun one. A lot of people in the comments are taking Army. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Army pulls off the win. I'm not going to say it's an upset, but I like Cincinnati. They're one of the best. I think the best group of 5 team in college football entering the year. So I'm excited to see what they do. West Virginia at number 15, Oklahoma State.
I mentioned this earlier. I think that Jarrett Dagey, the West Virginia quarterback, can frickin' sling it. And Oklahoma State looked bad against Tulsa, and the quarterback might be out, and the O-line might be out. But ultimately, I think Oklahoma State wins its 6th straight game against West Virginia. I've got the Cowboys. A shootout.
Their skill players need to step up. I mean, Chuba Hubbard did not have a good week this past week, or for his standards, not a great week. But they've got to figure some things out. I'm still taking Oklahoma State.
I will tell you guys this. Today is the anniversary of the greatest press conference of all time.
Is it?
I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm going OK State.
I think it was 12 years ago today.
It was 12 years ago today.
Remarkable. So a lot of people taking West Virginia in the comments. I'm shocked by that, but I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. I think they bounce back. Duke at Virginia. A great basketball matchup, guys. A great basketball matchup.
Duke's played 2 games, but like getting beat by 40 points to Notre Dame, I don't think is going to help you out that much. UVA puts their COVID distractions behind them and they get the win. Duke's 0-3.
I'm going to take Virginia. I know Chase Bryce was a good recruit out of high school. Haven't seen a whole lot yet, so I like Virginia.
I wanted to pick Virginia in this game, but I find it very tough to pick a team that's playing in their first game against a team playing in their third game. Yes, Duke's 0-2, but I think Duke's going to get this win just from the experience from this season alone.
Yeah, I'm trying to think right now. I'm looking at what we got coming up. I'm going to save it for the next. No, I'm going to go with this one. All right. Josh, you keep track of Duke. Brady, you keep track of Virginia. That's going to be my weekly one where I have the fans decide who I'm going to go with. So, Josh, you're Duke. Brady, you're Virginia.
I'm counting.
Guys, keep track of each one for me. So we can see who has the most. We got Duke, Virginia, Duke, Virginia. What else we got here? We got Duke. Duke. All right, that's it. That's all the comments we got so far. Who wins? What are the numbers?
5 for Duke.
3 for Virginia.
All right, so we are going with Duke. Duke is who I'm going to go with in this one. Don't let me down, guys. Don't let me down.
Good pick.
South Florida at Florida Atlantic.
Guys, Willie Taggart is back against South Florida, and he's getting a win after leaving that program, ruining it, and then ruining Oregon, and then went down to Florida State. Oh, man. Is FAU next? I don't know, but they're going to win this week, so FAU.
Yeah, I can't pick South Florida after last weekend. I'm going FAU.
You know, this is a simple one, and for one reason only. I'm going FAU because why, Lyle?
Because why not? I didn't steal it from you this week.
You didn't. FAU.
After watching South Florida play football or attempt to play football last week, I don't know how anyone could pick them. So I'm not going to. I'm going to pick Florida Atlantic. Florida State at number 12, Miami, who gets their second consecutive primetime Saturday night game. But I don't know why. There's a lot of great games this week. I don't know why they choose this one.
And it's a rivalry. It's a long-time rivalry. So I guess that makes it kind of interesting. Conference game. Who knows? Look, Florida State, I don't know. Maybe they come out and they win for Mike Norvell, who came down with coronavirus. Maybe they come out and win for him, but I just think that's unrealistic to say after we saw Miami go off against Louisville. So I've got the Canes by 2 touchdowns.
I think Mike Norvell's going to turn it around there eventually. Doesn't look like it's going to be this year. Man, Florida State has been underwhelming. I'll be a little more bold than that. I've got Miami, and I think Miami's going to run them out of the building.
It sucks to see Mike Norvell, out so early with catching the COVID. But I think Miami's going to win pretty handily this one.
I love Canes, so
who doesn't?
For that reason, myself.
You gonna go get a cup of cane sauce, Blake?
No, I have turned around though. I do like cane sauce now. I know back at ASU, I'd always give my cane sauce to the first one that called dibs. I have grown to like Canes. They just opened up another one. It's actually further from here, but we went, my parents and I, a few days ago, and it was.
Where is it?
They drove you there?
Glendora.
There's one in Glendora.
So they just opened one in Glendora.
Right down the street.
Is that the closest one to you?
No, so the closest one to me is in Azusa, which is 2 cities over, which is about 10 minutes. Glendora is 15 minutes away. So
they're both 45 minutes from me.
It is what it is, guys. A few games left. Number 16, Tennessee at South Carolina.
This should be a decent one, too. I think it's fairly low scoring. Defense will give Guarantano and the offense time to get some points on the board. I've got Rocky Top.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee. They come out in their they come out in their first game, not home opener, and they make a statement.
I picked against the best college football song earlier, so I'm going to go with the second best college football song for this game. Rocky Top, You'll Always Be. Home sweet home to me. I'm going Rocky Top.
This one's surprising, guys, because we talked about Tennessee having that massive winning streak last year to close out the year. They're due for a loss. South Carolina, the Cox are at home. I like them. I mean, it's a close. I think Tennessee's a 2.5-point favorite, so it's a really close spread. I'm going to go with the Gamecocks in this one. I like South Carolina at home.
If you attack the Cox early, you're going to be good.
What's up? What are we saying?
If you attack the Cox early, you're going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I like them. NC State at number 20, Virginia Tech.
This is a game we didn't talk about, but NC State and Wake Forest put up a combined 88 points last week. And NC State gave up 42 to Wake Forest. And I don't know what Virginia Tech's going to do this year. I mentioned earlier, I think they're going to be all right. I think they should be able to match the damage that Wake Forest did on these guys. So I've got Virginia Tech.
Yeah, NC State won last week, but just didn't really feel like their defense pulled their weight. I'm going to go with Virginia Tech.
I'm going Virginia Tech.
Hopefully our man Connors in the live chat, because he'll like this. I think we're going with a Virginia Tech sweep here, guys. We like that one. It comes us to the final game of the week, guys, especially only for about a month or so until ASU's back. Then we can save them for the last game. But we do have the worst of the worst, Georgia State at Charlotte.
Guys, look, I mean, Charlotte versus Georgia State. The 49ers could really use some love after suffering all those injuries against the Jets.
Yeah.
But they're not going to get that love from me. So I've got the Panthers despite being without Christian McCaffrey this week.
Man, Georgia State had R.J. Hunter years ago. Wait, that's a different sport, so I'm taking Charlotte.
You know, Charlotte, one of their most famous alumni is a guy named Clay Aiken. Most of you followers are probably too young to know who Clay Aiken is. But Clay Aiken was the runner-up in season 1 of American Idol. And Charlotte's going to be the runner-up this week against Georgia State. I'm going
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
He was the runner-up in season 1 to Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson. Also, I think the guy in third place that year, or maybe it was a year after, it was Lil Sweet, the guy that does the Dr. Pepper commercials. He was
wait, are you serious?
I'm totally serious. Yeah, he was a runner-up on American Idol.
Guys, before we talk about that, there's actually a Q&A question.
I know, Blake. It's called a tease.
Oh, nice tease. So I'm going to go with Charlotte in this one. I like the new Charlotte uniforms they got, but that does wrap up this week's Q&A, guys. That was a fun one. We do
wait, hang on. I was wrong. Lil Sweet was the runner-up of season 1 of American Idol. Clay Aiken was runner-up of season 2.
What?
There you go.
Yeah.
So sweet. It's
All right, guys. It's time for the Q&A. So for everyone in the live chat, hit us up with your questions. Again, we got 10, 15 minutes to answer you guys' questions. Could be about this past week, this upcoming week of college football. Any questions you guys got, let us know. But we are going to turn to our Twitter questions first, as we usually do for the most part. Our man Michael. Now I'm going to change this question a bit, because what is the most underrated national championship of all time? Well, aside from the last 10, 15 years, I couldn't really tell you. So, guys, I'm going to change the question to, what is the most underrated national championship game from the last 15 to 20 years that you guys remember that you think doesn't get the kind of love it deserves to get?
Underrated national championship game. Does anybody? Oh, dude, we went an hour and 12 minutes without that happening. Anyway. So maybe it's just me, but am I the only one who doesn't remember that Auburn beat Oregon on a last-second field goal? Because I didn't remember that until I watched the highlights. I'm serious, 3 weeks ago. I was like, that game ended on a last-second field goal. So that one, because apparently I forgot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mine's either Florida State, Auburn, when Jameis led the game-winning drive, or honestly, 2016 Clemson Bama. Bama was so dominant for a couple straight years, and finally Deshaun Watson knocks him off. That was a good game.
You know, I've got one. It was a pretty good one. I'm going to say 27. Well, it was played in 2018. Well, it was the Peach Bowl. It was whenever UCF beat Auburn. So, that's got to be the most underrated national championship game of all time. UCF gets zero respect for that game. So I'm going to go 2017 UCF Auburn.
I'm looking back at just to see what all the matchups have been going back to 2000, and I feel like this one, for whatever reason, 2005 Texas USC just doesn't. I'm kidding. That's the best one. I'm upset though because Josh kind of stole mine, because I actually had two and I was going to go with the other one if one of you guys took it. But my first one, Lyle also took it as well. I think Florida State Auburn. That game was fantastic. That was a last-second touchdown to win. But I like what Josh brought up is, I feel like no one remembers that again. Yeah, that national championship, Oregon-Auburn, literally came down to a last-second field goal as time expired, and there was that crazy play where his knee wasn't down. He ended up getting an extra 30 yards to put him into field goal territory. That was a fantastic finish. I feel like doesn't get discussed about enough. So who knows? But those are the ones I like. This came from two guys on Twitter, Sports by JR and Blake Walker. Thoughts on potentially seeing a lot of injuries in college football, like what the NFL has had so far. So we got the SEC coming back this week. We haven't really seen it yet, but again, not a lot of practice, not really a whole lot of experience. Do you guys think we could see, some potential impactful injuries in college football?
Yeah, I hope not. What happened this past week in the NFL, and I get that we've got a lot of. It's a tough situation these guys are in because obviously there's a lot going on off the field, but did they forget to stretch this week? We've never seen anything like this.
You can't stretch an ACL. That's the thing is there were so many ACL.
Not everybody tore their ACL.
But there were 7.
But I think it is. We have never seen a weekend like that in the NFL, at least as far as I can, as far back as I can remember, as far back as 22 years goes. But I don't know. I don't think we're going to see anything like that in college football. And I sure as hell hope we don't. But I think we're going to see some injuries. I think we'll see more guys like opt out. This could be interesting. I don't know what the actual like legality of it with like the rules and restrictions, but I feel like we will see more guys opt out mid-season than we will have season-ending injuries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I thought the rule on opting out, or do you mean in college or the NFL, Josh?
In college.
Okay, college. Okay, that's different. Never mind.
I don't think you can save your eligibility then, but I would not be surprised if more people opted out mid-season.
Right. Yeah, agreed. It's weird, right? Because, I mean, everybody's talking about with these NFL injuries. It's like, well, there was no preseason. They didn't have any preseason games. I mean, college football doesn't play any preseason games. But it was just so weird to see what happened in the NFL this week. And obviously you feel awful for all those guys. I don't think we're going to see any level of injuries in college football to that extent. And I sure hope not. But, I mean, I think there will be injuries at some point. It's just a granted.
You know, one of the things, too, that people say, Lyle, back to the NFL point is they don't have preseason games. Yeah, but they had a game last week. So why didn't these injuries happen last week?
True.
So that's where I look at it. I don't think we'll see it coming up in college. I think everyone's so hyper-focused on the NFL. There are only 32 teams, so many players on each team. So you see it a lot more. So you'll get a guy in college football who will tear his ACL or who will have an injury of that nature, but won't be, you know, a superstar level player like a Saquon, like a Bosa, like one of those guys. So I don't think we'll see it, but not as to the extent of what the NFL has.
Yeah, hopefully now. We got our final Twitter question before we move into our YouTube questions. This is a fun one, guys. What are your favorite non-Super Bowl commercials? Mine are the Diet Dr. Pepper ones. So they're the sweet one.
All of the Dr. Pepper ones, and honestly, not even the ones with Lil Sweet. Like those are funny, but the Larry Culpepper ones, the Fansville ones are great, and the Larry Culpepper ones are really good. The best one is when he's on top of the truck or whatever, and he's like, "Who's in?" And Doug Flutie's like, "Oh, like I'll take a jersey," and he's like, "Oh, Flutie's in. Here's a boys medium." That's the best one, I think. But those ones.
At least as of right now, my favorite commercial is also like my least favorite commercial. Every time I hear doing this, make a swish, my goodness, I just want to get up and leave. But at the same time, I laugh every single time.
What is? I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
The Chris Paul commercial. I'm not your dad. Of course, I'm your dad.
Yeah.
I hate that commercial.
I love it and I hate it. Like, God.
You know, the Baker Mayfield progressive commercials are great. You know, the recent one where they're like, "Oh, it's getting ready to rain. Let's go cover all the furniture," and he starts putting seat covers on every single seat in the stadium. The book club, they're kicking people out. You know, Baker Mayfield has as many commercials as he has wins. So, you know, you either focus on commercials and acting or focus on winning football games. That's a different point. But you know, the Baker Mayfield ones are great.
Blake, go, but I want to change mine because I don't want to take yours though.
So there's three. There's one that's my all-time favorite, but there's some ones I want to mention. The first notable honorable mention I want to mention, the Heisman House commercials.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Or was that the one you were going to say?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted you to go first before I changed mine because I don't want to take yours.
That's what's great, but that's not like my fave. My two personal favorites, I guess my number two all-time favorite are the Jack Link's beef jerky commercials messing with Sasquatch. I don't know. I think they're still making them. Those things are fantastic. I mean, I can watch those compilations on YouTube all day. Those are great. But the greatest series of commercials of all time, there's no question. Unfortunately, he retired years back and he no longer does them. That is the most interesting man in the world for Dos Equis. Those are the greatest. Those are the best. Those were fantastic.
What about Barry's tickets?
Oh, Barry's tickets. Petra.
877, yo, Barry.
Those are great too. But the best commercial series of all time, in my opinion, is Dos Equis. The most interesting man in the world. Stay thirsty, my friends. That's all I got to say. So sorry, Josh, I took yours. I should have let you have it. But
no. Well, I already
got
mine.
What about the Snoop Dogg Corona ones? Snoop Dogg's in some things now too.
Do you guys are thinking of any just like old series going back a while, like?
The ShamWow commercials are great.
Back when Geico, It's So Easy a Caveman could do it, and they had their own ABC show because of that.
That was good too.
there's some good ones out there. I'm the real Chris Paul. All right,
The
guys.
Allstate ones now. A lot of insurance commercials. The Allstate ones are pretty good. Like you've seen it, we've covered it. Like, hey, here's Ricky Fowler smashing a window with a golf club.
I'm not going to answer this question, but would you rather ASU go 0-12 3 state years, or your girlfriend breaks up with you?
Next question.
Well, considering I'm moving in with her next month, hopefully, I'll take. Who knows? This is a phone from Andrew, guys. Who's the best Call of Duty player in the group?
I haven't played.
Considering the last time I played Call of Duty was Modern Warfare 2 on the original Xbox 360. Not me.
I'm going to say me, even though I haven't played in 2 or 3 years competitively, but like I still have it on my console. I'm going to say me.
I never got into it. Surprisingly, I never got into it. So not me for sure.
I never played video games in general, like up to this day, so it's not me.
Lyle was an active child.
It's also worth pointing out, you will probably not see Lyle in any of our NCAA 14 streams. And it's no offense to Lyle. He just doesn't play video games.
The only way you'll see Lyle in the streams is when we add him in, like last week when I called Josh mid-game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or if it's that didn't you play that game in our apartment, like that Mario baseball game?
So that was it.
Go,
and that was back when we had a GameCube and I was really young. But like, I don't know, I just couldn't sit and play video games for more than like 15 minutes, like ever, even now, without kind of just getting bored. So I really never got into Call of Duty.
All right, guys, this one comes from Michael Johnson. With the Notre Dame game already being postponed due to COVID, how realistic is it that big-name games later on in the season get made up in time due to time constraints? So I'm sure, because who was Notre Dame playing this weekend, Lyle?
Wake Forest.
So they're not going to make that game up, but it is interesting. Like, what if Alabama, Georgia, if that game, has to get postponed for COVID, how are they going to make it up? How are they going to work it out?
I proposed the same thing earlier during the Big Ten segment. It was, how does it work?
Yeah.
Because, some conferences don't have bye weeks built in. Big Ten is 8 weeks, 8 games. I don't know about the other conferences, but, if some have bye weeks, they could always try to rearrange those bye weeks and work around scheduling. But
yeah, the SEC, they'll be like, sorry, Vanderbilt, we kind of need Alabama to play Georgia this week, so you're gone.
Sorry.
But then whoever like those two are playing, they could probably schedule, like if it's Vanderbilt and Missouri, they can just have those teams. Who knows? I feel like it can be done. They can make it happen, so we'll just have to wait and see. This is a fun one, guys. You guys got to put your thinking caps on for this one. Eric P., who is the best college alternate uniform? So these aren't, the traditional great uniforms. Who's the best alternate uniforms? I know Lyle's just really wanted to say the Notre Dame Yankee Stadium uniforms that are probably immediately coming to his mind, I would assume.
Oh, like I always say, those are not the worst Shamrock jerseys they've had. I think I said it on a show a couple weeks ago. Like, their worst ones where they had like a brown and like awful green. Those were their worst ones of all time.
What about the 3/4 helmet?
What 3/4 helmet?
They had one. It was like green to like here and then gold, or vice versa.
Oh, better than the brown and green.
Leprechaun was on the side. It had the big leprechaun.
It's better than the brown and green for all I can say.
So go ahead, Lyle.
No, I'll just take Oregon just because I like their jerseys and Josh doesn't.
Not even a little bit. Are we talking about like combinations that aren't the home jerseys, or are we talking like specific
So
Pro
it's just
Combat
like
2011?
it's not your home, it's not your away jersey. Anything else though?
Man, I used to always like Baylor's alternates before they did the new rebrand. They had like a gray and a black, and they had the gold helmets. I thought those were awesome. My hot take is that the Maryland Pride jerseys were fantastic. I thought those were phenomenal with the helmet that looked like the flag, and said Maryland on the back and had the texture of a turtle shell. I also really like the all white ASU ones from this year. So, man, it's tough. But what did Florida State had like all black jerseys a couple years ago with like with the black and red helmet. Those were pretty sick. Yeah. So I think I'll just kind of toss out those three. I don't know if I have one in specific that really jumps out to me.
The gator skin Florida ones. I'm totally kidding. Those are the worst uniforms I've ever seen.
I would still say I like those. I
love the idea. Love the idea, but conceptually they did not work out. Ohio State's black Pro Combat alternates are some of my favorites, especially with like the textured black helmet. Those are really good. And there was one more. TCU or the Duke Georgia ones with like the dog collar are pretty cool. But TCU
have
will
you seen those new ones?
That's what I just said.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I didn't hear the new one part.
The new one with the dog collar. They're sick. TCU's got some great ones, especially when they go like a purple on purple helmet with a black jersey. They do a really good job with theirs. They have a great color scheme to work with too. Louisville's got some cool helmets with the big cardinal though.
I'm just thinking of those like UCF space ones from last year.
Yeah,
those things were sick. I mean, there's so many cool ones, but I had to Google like best alternate uniforms because I knew I'd be forgetting some. But the space one, that was the first one that came to mind, so I'm going to go with the space one.
What about the ASU ones? The ASU had like the desert camos or whatever.
The best.
All those are great.
Those are the best.
Sick. Yeah,
those are the absolute best. This comes from Short Round. He already asked me for my 200K sub episode, but what is the best sound in sports? The swish in the basketball net, the crack of the bat, a bone crunching tackle, or a perfect drive off the tee, or any other ones you want to include.
So somebody teeing up a slap shot, or like somebody hitting a home run. Those are great sounds. But Brady, you played football, so I'm gonna say one that I know you're gonna agree with me. The best sound in sports is a full locker room all clicking their chin strap at the same time. It is the best sound in sports.
I didn't even
if you haven't heard it,
so good.
If you haven't heard it, pick your favorite team, sneak into the locker room, slip in the back, and just wait for everybody to do it. When I was in high school, that was what you did before you took the field, and in the locker room, surrounded by like the concrete and the metal lockers and everything, everybody would get the clip ready all at once, and then everybody would click it at the same time. It is the most badass thing.
Here you go. Ready?
Imagine just 100 dudes doing that.
One more time. Oh, so good.
Sounds great.
Now they're just like the zip tie type things.
Yeah, no bueno.
Click, click, click. No, they're not as cool.
I'll go with crack of the bat or a 100-mile-an-hour fastball that just pops the glove, painted on the outside corner.
I'm going to go with perfect drive off the tee. I'll admit it. It's so cool. It echoes. Baseball's pretty great. I'm going to pick one that none of you guys did, but you can probably expect me to say this. Blake, you've heard this before.
I was going to propose it, yeah.
There is such a cool sound, and if you're close enough, you can feel it. I'm not even kidding, of a rocket ship on wheels going 230 miles an hour right past your face. It's one of the coolest feelings and sounds ever. And Blake can attest to that. He's been there.
And then it's 45 seconds of silence, and then it's loud, but
it's 45 seconds of silence. You listen to Dave Calabro on the PA, and then you're good to go. Then you hear it again.
It is something like, again, I really don't care about IndyCar racing, but having been to 2 Indy 500s, it gets you hooked. And again, just like the sound and just seeing a car go 220 miles an hour past you, it's just literally a blur. But that quick sound effect is fantastic. But I said this on the when I did this, the crack of a bat, like when you're in the stands and someone they connect, or even if you can hear it on the telecast, when they just hit like a moonshot and that ball's going 450 feet. That sound, I think it's a fantastic sound. It's like the best sound out there, but some good ones, some really good ones there.
I got another good one too. It's sort of like the Doppler effect, which is like the race car sound. A great flyover at a sporting event is good too.
There you go.
Yeah. Look at my science Doppler effect.
I like it there. All right, guys. Yeah. Toby's takes. Build your fantasy Halloween sandwich. Costume. Build your fantasy sandwich. I think we'll have Lyle start this one because I think we know what his fantasy sandwich is going to be. But like, Lyle, this is like your fantasy. Like you're choosing each the best of the best to make it.
Okay. Whole grain white bread, Skippy peanut butter, and Smucker's strawberry jelly.
Orange jelly.
Absolutely
not.
Are
we talking creamy?
Absolutely
are we talking crunchy? What are we talking here? We need details.
No, creamy peanut butter. I don't need crunchy peanut butter.
Anarchist.
I mean, it's fine. I just choose not to eat it.
We're going with that, like the Italian, like urban cheese style, like baguette bread, turkey, roast beef, bacon, lettuce, tomato, provolone cheese with a little bit of mustard and oil and vinegar on it. That's the go-to. Sometimes you get it toasted, but then you obviously get the lettuce and stuff on afterwards, and also not from Subway.
No.
Subway's not good.
They don't take M&G, so not Subway.
Subway's not good.
You have to have really good bread. You know, like a nice, like a good whole grain bread. You gotta get some weight to it. Get some bread there. You'll go turkey, bacon, lettuce, tomato, onion, cheddar cheese, mayo, maybe a little sriracha if you're feeling frisky. Salt and pepper. And if you want to be really good, you'll toast that thing for a bit or grill it. But you know, it's just as good quick and cold too.
Yeah, there are two. I'm trying to find the best sandwich I've ever.
Sandwich.
Well, the best sandwich I've ever had is from the Earl of Sandwich. They have
hang on. Short Round brings up a great point too. The day after Thanksgiving leftover sandwich is undefeated.
That's true, but no, the Earl of Sandwich, it's a chain. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been there, but they have some sandwich that it's fantastic. I think there's it's a turkey, there's like Swiss, bacon, you know, their special sauce. They got some lettuce on there. The bun's fantastic. Maybe there's maybe there's like pepperoni in there. I don't know. It's a fantastic sandwich. I'm simple. If I can have a very good meatball marinara sub, oh boy, is it game over? So I'm talking.
What about some Dutch crunch?
Ooh, Ike's loving sandwiches.
Great.
I miss spending $16 for a sandwich at Ike's.
Yeah, that was absurd.
All right, guys, we got time for one final question, and this comes from Brady Klein. Top 5 Halloween candies, or just top 5 candies in general.
Twix, Heath Bar, Sour Patch.
Did you say Heath Bar?
Dude, Heath Bars are great.
No.
What happened? Why did I get put back here?
They kicked you out.
Heath Bar?
Yeah, you ever had one?
Yeah.
Do you like
great.
toffee?
Not top 5.
Well, this is objective.
Chicken farm, you taste so good.
Twix, Heath, Sour Patch, Jolly Ranchers are solid.
Great, I can't find your question. Where do you find it? Sorry, Josh. There we go.
I don't even remember the question.
It's on the screen.
I mean, there's no question mark, so how do I know it's a question? See, what I see is top 5 Halloween candies.
Doesn't say 5. It just says top Halloween candies.
Ooh.
Shut up. Then I'm just gonna leave it at 4 because I was gonna go 5, but now I don't want to play anymore.
All right. Well,
way to ruin it, guys.
I'll go 3 chocolate candies and 2 fruit candies. Chocolate, Reese's. I mean, that's my number one always. Reese's, Twix, and Milky Way. And then for fruit, honestly, these 2 are a little out of the box, but Starburst jelly beans are legit my favorite fruit candy. Not normal jelly beans, like the Starburst jelly beans. And then the watermelon Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah. Reese's number 1, I think undefeated. Skittles / a variation of sour Skittles. I have a petition to bring back the lime Skittle because the green apple Skittle sucks. Twix are great. Underrated one. Big fan of Milk Duds.
Milk Duds are good.
Love Milk Duds. Oh, yeah. Sour Patch Kids. I think regular Sour Patch Kids are great. Ooh, man, what else? There's some good ones.
What about Swedish Fish?
I love Swedish Fish.
Milk Duds, Swedish Fish. No, you're talking all the candies that just don't taste good and just get stuck in your teeth.
Wow, it is not your list. It's Brady's list.
It's my life and my list.
But this is his list, all right?
You know, Kit Kat are pretty good. Twix they got to be on there too.
Yeah, I mean it is tough because it can vary. Like I like the non-chocolate ones. Sour Patch Kids, those are fantastic. I'm not a fan of the
What are your favorite Sour Patch Kid flavors?
The red and the blue.
I like the green and yellow, but the only
green, yellow, red, orange, and then blue. Blue was last.
They switched the orange one though. They changed the orange flavor. I think it used to be orange. Now it's like mango or something.
Don't like orange.
I don't like that, but I'm not a fan of the Sour Patch watermelons. I don't know why. I don't like those.
It's a weird consistency.
I love Mike and I love Mike
yeah.
a lot. In regards to chocolate ones, Twix, Kit Kat, those are great. I like Milky Way Midnights. Milky Way Midnights are a good time. 3 Musketeers are fantastic. I will say though, I know it's a Halloween candy thing. I do want to say what my favorite candy of all time is. I used to have this all the time when I was a kid. Like I'd always get this at the store. Then for whatever reason, 15 years went by. I never got it again. About a month or two ago, I stopped off at a gas station with MJ. We just picked some things up. I was just in the aisle and I saw this and I said, wow, I haven't had this in about 15 years. A Reese's Fast Break. If you guys have never had a Reese's Fast Break, it's essentially just a candy bar that's a Reese's peanut butter cup with nougat in it. It is so good.
Yeah.
I've had about 10 cents. They're so good. A Reese's Fast Break. That's my ultimate favorite. I love it. It's the best.
I noticed none of you said candy corn.
Yeah,
I do love candy corn, but
okay. I get tired of it.
Yeah.
It's a very specific taste though too. Also, what's the Reese's makes other like bars too?
They just announced
like Reese's sticks or whatever they're called.
Yeah, they're essentially Reese's just announced
not
today
the
though.
They make like Kit Kat versions of
those are the Fast Breaks.
No. The Fast Breaks are like the nougat ones. They have like other ones that are like Reese's like sticks.
Oh, like wafer, like Reese's wafer.
Yeah,
they have like
those are really good too. I used to get them sophomore year, and my roommate
Crunch.
I don't know what they're called, but they used to have them in the convenience store in our dorm, and I used to get them all the time sophomore year, and I would come back, and my roommate would have eaten them, so I was very upset.
Take 5. The candy lady, the lady that owns the candy store. My mother just walked in.
Shout out to Sherry Klein for also knowing that I like Twix bars and just mailing me a bunch of them freshman year.
She has. Also, Reese's came out today. They're having pretzel peanut butter cups. So like, they have the one with like the Reese's Pieces in it. They're gonna have one with like pretzel pieces in it now. Yeah,
I'm not a fan of that though. I've had the Reese's with the Reese's Puffs in it. Not a fan. But my second favorite Reese's though, aside from the main one, the mini Reese's peanut butter cups.
Ooh,
those are oh.
Do mini candies taste better? Do snack size or bite size taste better than the full size?
You know what I know? Yes.
They taste exactly the same. It's the same candy. It's like in Willy Wonka when they shrink the huge Wonka bar. It's like it's the same candy, it just got smaller.
Has anybody ever had 100 grand bar?
Oh, get out of here, Josh. Get out of here.
Okay, so I think these are solid because you get the chocolate, you got the caramel, and you've got the Crispies or whatever. But like they also make them that have is it the 100 grand bar that also has like pretzel in it too?
Yep.
So I think those are solid. They're not.
You know what?
Like
no one said.
5 for me.
Nerds ropes.
No one said Snickers. No one said Snickers.
Yeah. I thought I said Snickers. I said Twix.
I don't know. That Snickers are far down on my chocolate candy list. Like I don't know. Like there's a few I'd put over Snickers. There were the ones I put like Butterfingers. There's a couple others.
Butterfingers. See, there's nothing wrong with
Butterfinger gets stuck in your teeth though, Lyle.
Butterfingers are awful.
Butterfingers are good. That's a good
They're
take
really
from
good.
Lyle.
Good take, Lyle. Good take.
Yeah. So I need to get myself a
good eye, kid.
That's a good bar. But that does wrap up our Q&A and our show for this week. Thank you everyone for the questions. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to follow the show on Twitter at the @HHShow_. Follow us on Instagram at Harris Highlight Show. Make sure to follow us there. Interact with us. We like talking with you guys. You guys can listen to our show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description. Oh no. Well, Brady. 100 grand bars. When was the last time a child like 100 grand bar? There's a reason why our parents like 100 grand bars. Thanks, David. Thank you for Spinatos 3 years ago.
David.
Thank you. I think Lyle says thank you as well. You guys can support the show by becoming a Patreon member for as little as $1 a month. Unlock exclusive content. Link is in the description below. Yeah, guys. Any parting words before we head out for this upcoming week?
I want Spinatos now.
Yeah, me too. But my mother bought a fat bag of Halloween candy, and it's sitting on the kitchen table. And I'm gonna go eat the whole thing because there's no trick or treating this year for the kids. That candy's mine.
I would do that. I went to the dentist today. I got a cavity, so I can't do it.
Oh, that sucks. Brush better.
Yeah.
Floss.
Yeah. Sorry, my mom's not Deanna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that does wrap up this show, guys. Again, follow us everywhere. Hit us up. Do all that fun stuff. Lots of college football coming this week, so that's going to be a whole lot of fun. For Josh Schaefer, Lyle Goldstein, Brady Klein, this has been Blake Harris from Monrovia, California. This has been the Harris Highlight Show. Thank you all for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. Do whatever you want. We don't care. We will see you guys back here again next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Have a great week, everyone.
Ah, woo!